What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Barbells and Trails Podcast.
Dude, you need to stop doing that. That's
2 weeks in a row.
that's more than 2 weeks in a row.
No, I did do it for a while. That was
Okay.
when you moved in.
True, maybe.
Barbells and Trails Podcast, episode 81, I believe. We're back. This episode's coming out a little late, but it's okay.
We're here. That's all that matters.
Yeah, exactly. So we've let's see. First thing, we brought it up when Kelvin was on. Which, by the way, what did you think of that episode?
That was fun.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Honestly, I got rushed at the end. It turns out I didn't have to be, so that was kind of disappointing because I was like, oh, we could have kept going, and I would have been fine with it. Kelvin's a lot of fun. I think it'd be fun to have him on again sometime.
Oh yeah, 100%.
He's a interesting character, to say the least.
100%. He's so funny, dude.
He's the most random guy sometimes.
He is.
But I like it. I mean, I got the Breton twice last week, so
Yeah.
it's all right. That means he likes you, I think. I don't know. I'm not English.
Maybe. Yeah.
I should call somebody from England and be like, hey, is this normal?
Just look it up.
Because I got my buddy has some tendencies, and I'm just not so sure about him.
Yeah.
He's an interesting fellow.
He is.
But we did mention, though, in his episode, closer to the end, that we've been doing a Halo playthrough.
Yep.
So we're about 2/3 of the way through Halo CE, Combat Evolved.
I would say so. We have 2-3 missions left. 3.
Yeah, so this will be only our third game. Oh, that actually just was kind of disappointing. I thought we were farther.
No, I mean, we're going to be done. Once
yeah,
this is done, this will be our third game. So
we'll be
it's
done
not
with this
bad.
one.
We're making progress.
I know, but we still have Halo 2, Halo 3 ODST, Halo 3, Halo 4, Halo 5, Halo Wars, Halo Spartan Assaults somewhere in there, and then Halo Infinite. So we still got like 8 games.
It's going to be a slow progress, but it's going to be fun.
It is slower than I was anticipating, but hey, we're playing on Legendary.
Playing on Legendary, and those missions on freaking C.
Some of them are long. Some are long.
Every mission's an hour at least.
Pretty much. So yeah, if you guys aren't aware, I guess we are both fans of the Halo franchise. Absolutely love them. I'm kind of a nerd about it, and you know that.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of about that. Like, depending on what it is, I'm a nerd with things. Like.
Oh yeah.
But no. So we've been playing it. Some of these games I had never played. Some you have kind of played or haven't. Like, there's multiple games in the series we had never played before. Vice versa. So we're like, why don't we do a Halo playthrough? And we'll try it all on Legendary. And so we've been doing that. And initially, we weren't necessarily going to stream it. But we were like, why not? Like, it would be fun. I mean, it's not normal for the podcast. But if you guys are into video games, if you're into Halo, or if you just like hanging out with us on a live stream and want to chit chat, I mean, the bad thing is we don't schedule them that much in advance. If we had a free weekend, we probably would schedule it earlier out. But recently we haven't. So most of the time it's like if we are streaming, it was probably a decision 15 to 20 minutes before.
Yeah.
And we get everything going and are on. So if you guys are on or interested in that, click the bell notification so you can get notified whenever we do start live streaming, or just kind of keep your eyes peeled.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all still on the channel. So there's playlists with the Halo saga on it. So far, we've streamed Reach. We're, like I said, almost done with Halo CE, and then we'll be moving on to Halo 2. So
and we did Halo Wars.
But we didn't stream that one. That one was.
Oh wait, we didn't.
Yeah,
you're right.
that one was a challenge.
That one was long too.
Yes, but it's fun. I mean, it really is. The main Halo games I played as a kid was mainly 2 and 3. I did get 4 when it came out. 5 I didn't get until years after it was out.
So I never played 5 or 4.
Oh, really? Never. Oh,
I played 2, 3, a little bit of the first one CE, and then
Reach.
I played Reach, and then I played Halo Wars 2, and then I think that's it.
Yeah, so if I go just the ones I've played before we start, like the ones I've had played before we started this, I had completely played the campaigns for Halo 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and Halo Wars 2. But the other ones I hadn't messed with. So it's kind of fun. Because some of these either I haven't played, or if I have played some of it, it's been a
It's either like
time.
you haven't played, but I played, and then
or
I haven't played.
Yeah, we're not even to the point where we're at games we both played. But even then, once we do get there, it's like, man, I haven't played Halo 2 in 10 plus years. I never played the anniversary edition, so that'll be fun to play.
It's gonna be fun.
So it's very nostalgic for us, honestly. I really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun.
Going into CE, just some missions I remember, it was like, hey, I remember this.
Oh yeah, I can't wait till I get to some of the ones I really play a lot as a kid, because I'll be like, I haven't played this in forever. I forgot about this mission,
right?
And stuff. So it'll be a lot of fun. So if you guys are interested, keep your eyes peeled on that, because we got 8 games still, so we might be doing this off and on for the next month and a half, depending on our schedules.
100%,
yeah. I mean, I don't think any of the games really you get through super fast. I mean, they're minimum, I feel like, if you like 10 hours to play the campaigns, at least on Legendary, on average, roughly.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like Infinite can be longer, but that's if you do all like the side quests in those two. If we
never
just
played
do
Infinite, so
you didn't play Infinite? I thought you said you did.
No, just a little bit, but like once I did, I was just like, I don't like it.
Really? Oh, I kind of liked it.
I didn't like it.
I liked it for different reasons. Because compared to Halo 5, they actually brought back like a lot of the old designs, where 4 and 5 they kind of changed it a lot. So they went back for like the styling for all the characters, including Master Chief and like the enemies. They look a lot more traditional to like Halo 1 through 3. And Breach and stuff. So they look more normal. Halo 5, they changed a lot of the looks, and I'm not a fan.
Maybe
it being open world, though, I mean,
that's what I didn't like.
I didn't dislike it. It was just very different. You could play the game so much differently than you could in the other games. That's the thing. I didn't dislike it. It was just so different. I can't really compare it to the other Halos. Not the same, anyways. Like, it just because it was so odd. I don't know. Like, some of the side missions though are kind of fun. Like random stuff where you like find soldiers or go hunt down an elite assassin or something that's like hidden on the map, and you gotta, like, go to these areas and can have like small boss battles and stuff. Kind of, I guess, more like maybe like a Far Cry or assassination game.
Assassin's Creed.
Yes, that one. So it's kind of like that, I guess, with some things, but it's not bad.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, so that'll be fun to play, especially since once we get past CE, we can have 4-person co-op. So if we have other people join us,
we'll have other people play.
That'll be fun. They'll add some
having
stuff
Mason with us too.
Oh man, that'll be funny. But no, it's been a lot of fun. So if you guys are interested, please check it out. It's
100%. Yeah,
it's been a lot of fun for us. What else has been going on? I'm going to Florida next week. So actually, right after this, you guys might notice, if we don't change clothes, we are recording these 2 episodes on the same night. So I'll be gone for a week. So we're trying to get a little bit ahead. Going down and visiting my grandparents and doing everything. I've been to Florida since I was 3 years old. So it's
really,
yeah,
wow,
yeah. The last time I was there, Disney. Don't know why my parents decided to take a 3-year-old and an infant to Disney, but they did.
Yeah, they did that to me, actually, too.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
What's really funny is I was talking to some people at work the other day, and they're like, I don't remember when I was like, till I was 6. I was like, what? I was like, I remember when my sister was born. I was not even 3 yet. And I like, they're like,
really?
Yeah, they're like, I've been to Disney. I don't remember it except just like pictures, and then that helps. But I was like, yeah, that helps. But I do remember doing things at Disney World. Like, I don't have a lot because, like I said, I was 3 years old, but like there's specific things I remember. Like I remember waiting in line for, I think, like the Dumbo. Did I just say Dumbo? Yeah, it's Dumbo, right?
Yes.
Yes,
Dumbo.
the Dumbo like roller coaster thing. There's kids in front of us, and they were so much older than me, and even though they were probably like 6, I was like, whoa. So I remember that. I remember seeing the Cinderella Castle. I remember kind of where we stayed, and it was definitely like an old school 2000s like Disney motel kind of situation. Like I thought it was so cool as a kid that the TV was hidden in the wardrobe. I was like, you gotta open the doors, and there's the TV. I was like, this is amazing. It's like, it's hidden.
Where's the passcode? Boop, 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 boop.
Like, I remember swimming at the pools with my parents, and Bailey being tiny and flopping around.
Flopping around. What is she, a fish?
Not really. She couldn't swim. What else did we do? I'm trying to remember some of the things I do recall. I think I remember seeing Epcot. Obviously, we did not ride it. It was 3. One of my favorite things I do remember doing down there, like an actual ride I went on, was, and I don't know if you might recall this. I don't know if you've been since you were a kid, but and I don't even know if it's still there. But it was like an old racing track thing, but you actually kind of raced, like you were in control of the cars.
Oh, okay.
So it was almost like a go-kart, I guess. But my dad let me sit in his lap, and I think I had control of the accelerator, and he was steering, or maybe I was helping drive. I don't know, but I remember doing that. I remember like at one point passing some other like adult. I don't even know if he had a kid in this car. Like I really don't know, but I was like, haha, like we're beating him. I think we got second to last, but it's okay.
At least you didn't get last.
There's a 3-year-old in charge, so I mean, what do you expect?
My dad was just having a blast.
Yeah,
he was just in bed.
But I haven't been to many theme parks. Have you been? Like I've been.
So I've been to
there. That's about.
I've been to Disney.
Yeah.
There was
I've been to Kings Island.
There's another one in I've been to Kings Island.
Yeah.
There's another one in Florida that I've been to.
Oh really?
Yeah. It was.
It wasn't like Universal or something, was it?
No.
Oh, it was a smaller one.
It was a little smaller.
Okay.
But it's still pretty big. It was when I was getting on a Disney cruise.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But I forget what it was called. It was like something with like the ocean or something, water. I forget what it's technically called, and I have it in my mind. I just can't remember.
See, the thing, I'm so used to.
It's not Waterworld.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. But it's something like that. But I've been to that one, Kings Island. I've been
Island.
to Cedar Park.
Cedar Point.
Cedar Point,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
Park.
yeah.
But
I've never been there. I've never really been to like large theme parks besides Disney. Like Disney's, I think, like one of the biggest in the country. But
well, I just see the thing is I don't even remember going to Disney.
Yeah.
I was so
How old
young.
were you?
2 maybe.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you were, you were a little.
Everybody was young.
Yeah, true.
So.
You know, I've been basically to Disney, if I count that, Kings Island, Holiday World, and
I've been there too. Forgot about that place.
Dang it, Indiana Beach, if you know where that is. So that's a very for us, that's a very niche, small amusement park that's on the side of a lake up in northern Indiana.
I've heard of it. I've never been actually.
For what it is, it's honestly not bad. Like it's not massive, but it's really cool. It's on like the dock and stuff and everything. It's really cool. I was not much of a roller coaster guy as a kid. Were you?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I hated
I still am.
You could probably get me on there, but I'd still be like skeptical and nervous. Like I remember as a kid, my sister rode the largest roller coaster. I believe it was the largest, at least maybe at the time. Holiday World, the Pilgrim Plunge or whatever, or not that, the Pilgrim, whatever, the Pilgrim ride. And she did that, and like she was not super old, like she was maybe 8, and I'm like, nope, you and mom have fun. I'm gonna sit back and play.
What about now? Are you better now?
Yeah. Like that, I would go on. Like for me, I've never been on one that twists or loop-de-loops, so I've never.
What about the Banshee?
That. No,
You've never been on the Banshee.
Never been on the Banshee.
Oh, dude.
Dude, the first roller coaster I was really like okay with was the racers, old school roller coasters.
Those were fun though.
And so, I don't know why I've always kind of been scared of heights, sorta, but I don't know. It was kind of weird. Like now I could probably do some of them a lot easier, but. Like I remember when I rode the Beast for the first time, I was like, that was fun. And that was a long ride. Like I think that still holds records. Or, well, maybe not anymore, but it used to. Yeah. I think it's still the longest wooden roller coaster in the world.
It is, yeah. Longest wooden, but it's not.
It's rough. I'll beat you up.
It's very rough.
It is a rough ride.
Once you get older and older and older, you're like, oh, crap, that actually is hard.
Yeah. I mean, it's like wedge yourself into the shoulder pads and just hold on.
Yeah. It's fun, but it will beat you up. 100%.
Oh, yeah. So
honestly, for what it's worth, I actually really liked Holiday World when I went there.
Yeah, it's fun.
It is.
For some reason, I'm more okay, and even as a kid, I was more okay with like big water park rides than I was roller coasters.
See,
I don't know why, because I don't know, maybe because I'm like, if I fall out of my thing, I'm at least in a tube.
Right.
Or then I'll slide down.
We always went to the Great Wolf Lodge.
Oh, yeah.
So that was fun, too. Sometimes we would just like actually go there and then Kings Island. Like did a 50-50.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I gotcha. For me, one of my favorite, not my favorite memories, but the first time I think I remember going down to Holiday World, I was 8. My sister was 5. She was sick. Very sick.
Gosh.
Like, she had a fever bad enough where there could have been a chance of taking her to the hospital. Like, it was getting high where they're like, yeah, if it gets past 104, you got to go. Because that's, like, dangerous for the brain and stuff.
That's not good.
So she was, like, out of school her last 2 weeks of kindergarten.
Last year
in kindergarten. She was there multiple times. No. And I remember as a kid, she was so upset because she couldn't go in and give her teacher the end of year gift that she picked out for her. And she was so sad that she didn't get to do that. And then because of that, too, her and my mom couldn't go to our family trip to Holiday World because Bailey was sick. But one of the things I did down there, I got my knee stuck in a fence.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Like, we were watching my cousins and uncles on a roller coaster or something, and me and my grandma was just hanging out because I was like, I'm not a big fan of those.
Are you talking about like those fences like that?
Yeah, like the railing. And
yeah,
for some reason and somehow got my knee to go through it, and then I couldn't get it out.
Yep.
And I was like, Grandma, I'm trapped.
Thing is, I think
stuck.
every kid has done that.
Well,
because your knee actually could fit. So you're like, oh, this is fun, just going in and out. And then you get that one time, you're like, I can't get it.
That's the thing. I don't know if it was in and out. I think I just got it in, and then, like, it's through, so then my leg's moving on the other side, and then I tried to pull it back out, and I was like, uh-oh.
I've done that.
At least I'm not, like, one of those kids. Have you ever seen the videos of, like, the kids getting their head stuck in a banister? And, like, stuck in something? I was like, why are you sticking your head through things? Like, I never did that.
I was just saying, I've done that with my knee before, and I actually got it stuck for a little bit. But
oh, really?
I mean, you have to maneuver and then finally get it out.
We got it out, but I was just like,
not doing that again.
Yeah, I was so scared. I was like, I'm gonna be trapped here forever. But no, I've never been to like a really, really big park, at least not in a long time. Like, never been to Cedar Point, never been to like a Six Flags, haven't been to Disney since. I'm trying to convince Bailey to go to Orlando next week and do Universal, but she's like, that's too expensive. I'm a college student, and I'm like, but I want to go.
Yeah, as Kelvin was talking.
It's $100. I mean,
for the day.
Yeah, just for a ticket to get in.
For both.
For one.
For both. Oh,
and I'm like, he's like, it's really expensive. He
was saying
what it was, and I was like, I mean, that's kind of what I was thinking. So I was like, that's reasonable. Like, I wasn't. Yeah. I mean, I know it's not cheap, but at the same time, I was like, that makes sense. Like, I'm not surprised by that number. So I don't know. We will see. I would like to. It'd be a lot of fun.
Just pay for Bailey's.
Right. I might. Just because I want to go to Harry Potter World. But she's like, that doesn't include. That's just getting there. Like, you got to get there, and then you got to buy tickets. She's being the real girl about it, and she's like, that doesn't include food or parking or all of this. And I'm like, you're ruining the fun. Like,
you pay for the tickets. Not tickets. You pay to
and
get
she can
in,
pay for parking,
and she pays for the other half. Yeah, there you go.
And she's like, and if I go to Harry Potter World, I know I'm getting food. And I was like, yeah, true. I got to try butterbeer. And the bad thing is, I'll probably go there and like one thing of butterbeer is probably like $15 or something ridiculous. So
butterbeer.
You never had it?
No,
I never had it either.
Okay,
it's in Harry Potter, dude.
I've watched the very first movie, dude.
I forgot about that.
Yeah,
we gotta fix that.
Yeah,
we gotta fix that.
I watched the first movie and then it got ruined for me for a while, but now
it got ruined for you. Why did it get ruined?
Because I watched it with my ex, so it's kind of just like
well,
in that. Now
screw
it's fine.
her. We're watching it.
Yeah,
it's great, dude. I
actually liked it.
I can tell you how many times I've watched all the Harry Potter movies.
Really?
Plus, I read the books. That was the first thing.
Which one's better, the books or the movies?
Books. There's just more details. There's just a lot more, and I feel like I would probably say the same about Game of Thrones if I read them. Like, I feel like it would be similar, but it's just because, like, to try bringing something to the movie screen, you can only do so much, and it's costly and time consuming. Mm-hmm. So it's like, if you tried putting every detail from the books into the movies. Like those movies, each movie would be 3+ hours long, and they're already long movies.
They're really long. What are they, like 2.5?
Depends. Like the last one, yeah, but like most of them
the first
are
one?
probably
I feel
like
it was like 2 hours.
maybe pushing 2.
Okay.
Most of them are around that, but like they did a great job. They did. I mean, I don't think they could have done it better. I think they're supposed to make some remake, and I'm like, please don't, because
That would be terrible.
even in certain aspects, if it's good, the original series that they made is just too iconic that it's like,
yeah,
people will watch it out of curiosity, but not out of love.
right.
Like, people will watch it, but they'll be like, it's not the same. Can't watch it. Can't deal with it. And so, I don't know, but we definitely got to watch it though. They're really good.
I'm down. I'm down.
I mean, you still got to finish Game of Thrones. You're only in season 2. There's so much.
I was
so much
invested in a different show. Okay.
I know you've been watching Ted,
and then we was watching Avatar.
Yeah, we did watch that. Yeah. That's for next week's episode.
Yeah.
But no. Yeah, no. There's some good things out there.
There is, dude.
Really good things. By the way, I was just looking through some of the old footage from Brian's episode. That was a lot of fun.
That really was fun, dude.
I still got to post like shorts for it, so people will be seeing some of that here soon. But that was a
be
good
sure
episode.
to check that episode out.
Yeah, that was so much fun.
100%. I was not expected to like just go the way the whole episode.
No,
went,
it was
I feel like we keep talking about it, but it was
great. I mean, I think Kelvin's could have been that good. It just got to a point where we kind of had to wrap it.
Rolling though.
Yeah, we were. I think he wanted me to kind of take control of it a little bit, and I'm like, I'm just kind of letting it roll. Like, I wanted to ask you.
We both were just sitting back and watching him.
Yeah, true, and he's good at that. Like, yeah. I can let him run it.
Him and Brian.
Both of them are really good. That's why they're really good podcasts.
Should have both of them on.
Oh man, that'd be great.
We haven't had both of them on.
Like, no, not together. No.
That'd be interesting.
Oh yeah, it would.
That would actually be interesting.
It would be a fun time. No, it would be. It might be a mess, but it'd be fun.
Mean, I feel like Kelvin would be better than
what,
like to manage wise.
Oh yeah. It'll be a good time. By the way, so this is a topic I did kind of want to get into, and I found it very interesting and not super surprising though. Like, it was and wasn't. So I was listening to an episode of Rogan this week. I'm blanking on the woman's name, but she just came out with a book based. I can't remember why it's called, but maybe, I think it's like Bad Therapy, maybe Bad Therapist, something along those lines. And basically, the girl goes into about how like therapy has actually had a negative impact on mental health in the American society. And
I mean,
if you just take it at that face value, you're like, what are you talking about? But she breaks it down.
I can see why, but also I can see like it just depends on the therapist.
Yeah, and that was another part of it. It's just like your doctor.
I feel like that's just 100% because there's some people that desperately need therapy just to get it out. And then sometimes therapists just like are so one-sided. Let's just say in a divorce situation.
Oh well, yeah.
And it's just like I feel like all that would be a mess or something like that.
What's funny, and I feel like this is a very true statement, is when you have like a mom that's like, well, we just went through a divorce, we need to go have family therapy, and then the therapist is sit there and talking to everybody, and by the end of it, like, your kids are fine, but you got some work. and then it's always a situation where the mom's like, we're not going to that therapist again. And it's like, what? Because they told you the truth? But right. No, so she was basically getting into the idea of that therapy for children actually has a negative impact on their long-term mental health. And she did say, like, it depends on the situation, because if there's like someone that's chronically depressed or dealing with something major, yes, there's reason for that support through a therapist. But like one of the things she got into was like, nowadays, it's very true. Probably not as bad where we live, but I could definitely see this in other areas, that nowadays, like, you have parents that basically will hop on the opportunity to take their kid to a therapist for any reason, because they felt like when they were a kid, they didn't have that opportunity, whatever. They're trying to raise their kids better, all this stuff and be kinder and all this, where in the end it has a negative impact because they take their kid to therapy and it kind of reinforces things that it shouldn't because of whatever. Like she was talking about how in certain aspects that for a child in particular, depending on the age, if they're just going to a therapist, at one point this is like not necessarily an ego boost, but it throws you off because all you're doing is talking about yourself.
Yeah, I can see it, yeah.
Plus, it reinforces your issues because you keep bringing up trauma. And in certain aspects, it's probably very negative because it just kind of keeps propelling you in that same cycle. And then it keeps bringing it up over and over again. So it's hard to get over.
Yeah, I see that. Just all I say was not, I wouldn't say it's overall bad.
No. And she said that. But she also said it's a lot different to an adult going to a therapist than a child. Because a child can't necessarily sit there and really deconstruct themselves and work on things and go there for a purpose and a reason. But if someone our age is like, hey, I think I really need to work on this, I'm going to go. You're going for a reason. Where it's like as a kid, you're probably getting kind of pushed into the door.
Then again,
like most kids are going to their parents and be like, I need a therapist. Like that's not super common, especially at such young ages.
Yeah, true. I do have this friend, and I wouldn't say he's insane at all, but he does need a therapist just because he's going through a really hard time at like home. Like he just got kicked out. Yeah. And he's living like with his grandparents. And it's just, I was like, I'm glad he's actually seeing a therapist. I'm not saying that to his face.
Oh, yeah.
But
I mean, if someone wants to seek it out, that's positive.
As a kid, you definitely need to just like talk it over with somebody that has more experience in life.
Well, and that's one of the things she did talk about is like, talking about things and walking through things aren't a problem, but sometimes in a therapy session is what causes the issues. She's like, I would much rather kids be more reliant on talking to close family members, talking to their parents, their 100%. Grandparents, their aunts and uncles, whoever they're comfortable with way before they have to go to a therapist. Yeah. Because it's like, yes, talking to someone is great, but a therapist is going to break something down, or nowadays it's so easy for therapists to overprescribe things. Like the amount of Adderall prescriptions in 2021 was almost 42 million prescriptions. Dang. That's damn near a sixth of the population that's on Adderall now, and that's basically just an amphetamine. Like it's baby cocaine. And then between that and SSRIs and the issues that obviously causes, like it can also cause depression, like and all this stuff. Like there's so many other things, and part of the thing she's saying is like, not saying that this stuff isn't good and there's not a place for it. It's just overly prescribed, overly used, where there's so many other things that you can do, I guess, more naturally that doesn't cost anything and can have just as big, if not better, of an impact. Like at this point, exercise has been proven to be more impactful than some SSRIs by 100, like two almost, I think it's like 1.25 times more effective than some SSRIs.
Something like that.
Yeah. Sorry, I that's what I meant. 1.25 times the effectiveness. I almost said percent, but that's not right. But
percent.
Yeah. So it's like just that alone, when you already have people that, for the most part, don't exercise, so they don't get that release, they don't get the endorphins, and that's not necessarily being prescribed as being like, hey, I'm down, or I'm feeling low or whatever. It's like, okay, well, do something productive because that will bring you up, and that's very true too. It's just being productive in certain ways can help boost your mood and do whatever. And so like a lot of things get oversimplified and overlooked, and so that was some of the things she was diving into. And
see, I've never been to therapy.
Yeah, really. So. I've thought about it, but then at the same time, like my grandma was like, oh, well, with things in your past might be nice, because I mean, something I've never talked about, but at least not on here, but besides the fact, like, my parents were divorced, I've dealt with some crappy ex-boyfriends of my mom's, and been around alcohol and addiction and whatever. And my grandma was like, oh, it'd probably be really good for you to see a therapist. I'm like, I see what you're saying, but honestly, thinking about it, it's like, it doesn't have any impact over me. Like, I really don't care. Like, it happened. I'll talk to anybody about it. It doesn't, like, I don't have dreams about this shit. Like, it's not. Or nightmares. It's like I'm not dealing with anything from it. So it's like, what's the point at that situation? Where I think that also kind of happens is some people think they have something and they have to deal with it. Like one of the stories this lady was talking about was she's talking about a guy that came to a therapist, because that was the nice thing was she interviewed many therapists and psychologists and talked about a lot of different stuff for it. So I am curious because I would kind of want to read that book, and maybe eventually we talk about it again once we have a little more information sunk in here. But like he was talking about how I guess a guy came in and he was like, yeah, I feel like I'm just being like paranoid and doing all this and with my girlfriend because whatever's happening. And he's like, well, what's going on? He's like, oh, well, she's hanging out with her friend a lot and all this stuff. And I feel like I'm just being a terrible boyfriend and think that I'm trying to like be over forceful, and she's spending time with this guy and they have sleepovers together, but they've been platonic friends forever. And he's like, buddy, you're not paranoid. She's most likely cheating on you.
Yeah.
And the guy blamed himself for this because he was whatever and thinking about it being his fault for acting this way. And they even talked about it. They're like, well, that girlfriend's probably gaslighting him the whole time too, saying like, you got nothing to worry about, we're friends, like all this stuff. And it's like, no, like she basically was also saying that because of a lot of this stuff, people have lost control of themselves, where they're like, they can't make their own decisions. They can't like really work on themselves without some outside input. I was like, you got to kind of develop that. There's like, if someone does it for you, you're not learning to deal with yourself and who you really are and figuring yourself out. Obviously there's definitely a time and place for certain things, but she even said that like most therapists probably take on all these random things where it's like, oh, my teenager is whatever, or she's doing this, or he's doing this, or I think he has ADHD, I'm going to take him. A lot of these therapists just say, yeah, let's do it, because some of these situations like, oh, this kid's dealing with anxiety, they're also looking at it like, oh, this could be a paycheck for years. And that's where you get a bad therapist, where like someone that really needs therapy, like someone that's dealing with possibly PTSD or clinical depression or schizophrenia, they don't want to deal with that because that's a lot of work. Like that's not a simple situation to deal with, where it's like, yeah, they can deal with an anxious teenager. And then now it's like, you and me can relate because it is our generation that does this too, let alone, that's technically still all ours. But where like everybody's like, oh, I'm depressed, I deal with anxiety. It's like, what are you talking about?
Everybody does.
Yes, like depression gets overly used. And
the word depression.
Yes, and it's like
100% yes.
Like people say depression as if it's a blank statement for everything. And it's like, no, you're allowed to be sad. You're allowed to mourn. You're allowed to do whatever, but that does not mean you're depressed. There is a difference between someone that's clinically depressed and you just feeling dour and sad. Yeah. Like
people overuse those phrases a lot.
Or even some people now saying like, oh, I have ADHD or whatever, trying to like give some problem or labeling themselves to be like, well, that's why. And I can't say I haven't.
We talked about this on episode.
I mean, I can't say I haven't slightly done that in certain aspects, but it's like, for me, I've never been to a doctor. I really don't care. I'm not going to get on medications. I'm not going to go
to doctor just to see if I have ADHD.
Yeah, no.
Just so I can have that.
Because it's not a bad thing. It's not. It's not. People think it is, and it's just not. But it's like, I see so many characteristics of people that definitely know they have ADHD, and they talk about this. I was like, I've done that. So it's like, I kind of know I have it, or if so, I have some of it.
I feel like everybody has some of it.
Yeah,
that's the thing
like,
too.
ADHD for guys gets labeled so easily as a kid. And it's like, to get your kid on ADHD medications at 6 is, it's a kid, it's a boy being a boy. Like, right. I don't know what you want out of this. This is how boys react. They're energetic. They're doing whatever. They're hard to handle. Sorry. Like, that's just a young boy. Like, that's all I can tell you. But between that and anxiety, and it's like, anxiety is not a bad thing. Like, it's here for a reason. We have this for a reason. Anxiety actually heightens senses and even adds better memory for when it comes to remembering things. If you have anxiety for certain things, it's like, this is a biological response for a reason to deal with certain situations. It's supposed to be there. You're supposed to deal with it. And part of it is like, some people just don't know how to handle themselves in general, where it's like, no wonder you deal with anxiety. You haven't, like, parents over parent too much in certain aspects. And like, she's talking about how like, like most people nowadays, like I think it's like 50% of people between the ages of 18 and 30 live with their parents, and they would rather live with their mom or something. than live on their own. And it's like, whoa, like that's random. Like it's
That
like
is very random.
yeah, it's like I lived with my mom for a few years, but it's like wasn't necessarily because I wanted to or she did shit for me. It was like, no, it's just a place to stay. It's cheap. Like, what do you mean? Like, that's why.
Yeah.
It wasn't I
A lot
needed somebody to take care of me.
I can see our generation actually
Being
living with
yeah.
being like that, just because of like expensive nowadays too. Because
That's true. But
there's a new guy that just came to work and we were just talking. And he was like, "Yeah, I still live with my parents." I'm like, I don't blame you there, bud.
But the crazy thing though is you also run into situations where people will have their parents like literally call their boss to talk to them about something because their kid won't do it, and it's like, no, like what are you talking about? Kid needs to handle these situations. And she even said like there was two like authoritarian presidents, parents, and something else, and I can't remember what the term was, but she's like that doesn't exist anymore. There's more of a term of like more of a like a helicopter parent where it's like nothing's bad, everything's good. You got like take care of your kid because they can't have any trauma, can't have any issues. It's like, and they're too involved, and it's like you're missing the point. A part of parenting is allowing your kid to do things and figure it out, because if you do it for them, they're worse off in the long term and stuff along those lines. So she's like, I think that's why we like, and she's like, social media definitely hasn't helped with this issue, like mental health in America at all. But it's like compared to other first world countries, our mental health has increasingly gotten worse, even though there's more mental health opportunities like with therapists and stuff but it's just getting worse, and it's like that's not how the trend should work.
Yeah, it shouldn't. No.
And she even said that there's been some studies done on like people that's dealt with like major trauma and PTSD, like people that's been involved in fires and dealt with third-degree burns and doing all this, and they basically found that there's more or I think it was even with soldiers, there's a higher likelihood of success to get over the problem without a therapist than there is with one. That people that are able to kind of move on and honestly kind of forget about it is better, because they're more social, they're working with people, they're talking to their friends, they have a life, they're being productive, they're working. But if they're like going to therapy and they're talking about all this stuff, it just kind of reafflicts that wound over and over again.
Yeah.
And it kind of re-shows itself.
I can see both ways here.
Yeah. And I'm like, it makes sense. If you have a good social family structure and you like your job and you're doing this, it's like, yeah, that's going to have a positive impact on you overall, even if you've dealt with some crazy shit. It's going to, at one point, it's like, you will forget the bad stuff if you're having fun and enjoying life with other people. That's like, that makes sense.
That's why friends are so important.
Yeah. And so it was just very interesting. I am curious to listen to or read her book, because he's like, yeah, he's like, it's a very downing topic. And she's like, no, I kind of want this book to be more of a positive thing of being like, parents, you can make a difference and take charge by not allowing this, and just by parenting like we always have. Like, obviously parenting in certain aspects have gotten better than they used to, but at the same time, the old way of parenting did work, and it created good generations. Not saying there's not challenges and people aren't going to complain about their childhood, because everybody does, but it's going to end up producing better people than what we're doing now. And it's like, so it's going to be very interesting in the next 10 to 15 years as the rest of our generation actually grows up and gets out of high school, and to see what's going on. Because it's like, how many are going to be single? How many are not going to have sexual partners, or not live on their own, or do all this stuff? Like, it'll be interesting to see what happens, but there's always a way to come back out of these things. This is just it was a cool conversation to listen into.
Yeah, that's interesting. That is interesting.
So I definitely want to look into it more, but it was a fun topic.
Yeah.
I mean, what would you think about that situation? I guess. What? Just like with that, like
just mental health in general.
Yeah, like it because it is weird, because it gets tossed around and people use it a lot now and everything. It's just,
I don't want to use this, but like, I feel like now, like in our generation, people have become, like, so to say, soft.
It's
like
true.
Just using the word "I'm depressed" all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, me too. Maybe the person right next to you is too. Like,
It's like, and this
No,
is
I'm
just
not
a small
saying that.
example.
I'm not
but
saying you should overlook that, because if somebody's actually
if
depressed,
people are
you
going
need
through
to
something, talk to
talk
somebody.
to them.
Yeah, but there's like, and I do agree with you, is people are soft, and they even talked about that. Like, kids today just aren't resilient. Like, they just, it doesn't even have to be anything like terrible to go through, but at the same time, if there's not even a little pushback on situations or stuff that they're dealing with as kids, it's not going to help later down the road. And it's like, even those little situations as a developing mind make a big difference in the long term, and people lose track of that. So
I mean, that's just like saying through your whole childhood you've made mistakes, but you've grown for those mistakes.
Yeah,
it's the same difference. Like, let's just say you burnt yourself on the stove. I'm pretty sure you're not going to put your hand on that stove again.
Yeah, like that's a part of learning as a kid. Like, obviously you don't want your kids to get majorly harmed, but certain situations happen. Like, there's not,
everything's a learning situation, basically.
I mean, like, and even when it comes to like resilience, and not necessarily just like going around saying like I'm depressed, I'm sad, whatever, and like doing that. This is a situation I don't even know if you know about, or I know I never talked about it here, but 2 years ago, when I was, or probably longer actually, I was living with my dad, and he got really sick all of a sudden, didn't know what was going on, food poisoning, something along those lines. Woke up in the middle of the night, something was definitely wrong with him. Me and my sister both woke up, came outside. Scary situation, because like, he wasn't there. Like, it was weird. Ended up having a seizure and everything. This was 3:30 in the morning. Bailey called my aunt and uncle immediately, called 911, got out there. He came out of the seizure, whatever, but still was disoriented, had no idea what the fuck was going on. Went to the hospital, ran a bunch of tests. It turned out that they think that he was just extremely dehydrated, and it caused the seizure. Other than that, there was nothing else. Just from dealing with the sickness, he was just not hydrating enough, so his brain basically just freaked out. But not a fun experience, and at the time, that's fucking scary to think about.
Very scary.
It's hard to explain the situation, but it's like when you see someone there that you love, they just literally aren't there. Like, it was like glass screen in front, like, couldn't see what was going on. He was not aware of who we were, what was going on, anything. It was such a weird situation to deal with.
Scary.
And it's like, that happened, went to bed for like an hour, and went to work that morning. Didn't talk to anybody about it. Didn't say a word. No one had any idea. I got like 5 hours of sleep that night, and went to work, did everything. Like, I don't think I told anybody until like 2 days later. I was like, yeah, like that's what I was like. I didn't go around being like, hey, like, this happened, feel bad for me. Like, no, like, but people do that, and a lot of people do that, and it's like, it's nobody's business. I'm dealing with shit. Like, hey,
everybody deals with something, you know.
But it's like, I didn't put a face on, like a sad face on, and deal with it, and like take other people down. Like, it's like, hey, it's my situation.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people do that now.
They do, especially our age. And it kind of sucks. Something I know, we'll probably start wrapping up here in a second, but something I did want to bring up that I saw the other day that was very interesting. So obviously we know that guys are a little more problem solving, I guess, like, naturally. Like, that's kind of where our head goes, to try to fix something.
Depends on the situation, I guess. But yeah.
Well, so they did this experiment where they put toddlers away from their mother, basically, where they could see them, whatever, but there was an obstacle in the way. And all the guys, all the little baby boys, found a way to get to their mom. Like, they've climbed over, they figured out some situation to get there. The girls sat there and just cried. They didn't do anything. And basically the point the person was making in the speech was basically talking about relationships and everything, and understanding the difference between how a woman and a man looks at situations. And he's like, tell me, ladies out here, how do you feel when you come home and you complain to your husband about, like, oh, I got caught in traffic today, all this stuff, and then when he comes out and says, well, did you take the freeway? Did you do that? Well, of course, that's why it was longer. Like, go this way, you won't get caught in traffic. And you hate that because that's not what you want to hear. And it basically is like relationship advice where it's like, ladies, you got to understand, men are natural problem solvers. If you tell them a problem or situation or something that's going on, they're gonna try to fix it, even though that's not what you want to hear. They think they're being helpful and in that way. So it's like if you're in that situation where you're just trying to let stuff out and talk about it and complain, let them know that you're venting, that they don't have to say shit, and just listen. It's like this will cause a lot of less, like many less arguments. And I was sitting there, I was like, makes sense, because I'm like, oh, I've done that same shit with my sister, where she'll be complaining about something, and I'm like, did you do this, whatever. But the thing is like, for siblings, it's a different situation where she definitely gets annoyed. But it's like if you're doing that with a significant other, it's gonna cause a lot of arguments. Yeah. But it's like, it makes sense, and it's something that gets so overlooked, but it's very common that most people wouldn't think about. It's like, that's just how our brains are wired. Like that's what it is. Like we're here, like you throw out something that's going on. Well, hey, did you try this, or did you talk to them, or we try giving solutions. And I know I've done it a lot. Where it's like sometimes for girls, it's like, that is not what I want to hear at all. I just want you to listen to me complain. Yeah. And it was just kind of interesting, because I was like, I've never thought about that, but that does kind of make sense. Even with little boys, like even like being around some infants, I'm like, oh, I've seen that kind of resolve before between baby girls, baby boys. And I was like, that's what that is.
See, I mean, I get what you mean, but I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I kind of just sit there and wait until they're done talking, and then I put my input in. Oh
well, yeah, but sometimes it's the input they don't want.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's like they don't want you to try to fix the problem or tell them what they should do. It's just they just want you to listen.
I was gonna say I'm a good listener. Yeah. But if you don't want me to talk, just tell me.
Exactly. It's like, ladies, just let them know, because it'll help.
Just tell me to shut up.
Yeah.
I'll sit there.
It's like if you just want me to listen, be upfront about it. We'll deal with a lot less headaches. So there's our little bit of, I guess, relationship advice at the end of the episode. But
while we're both single.
Yep. Hey, single people give the best relationship advice.
Not
always.
Not always.
Not always, but I feel like I've always been decent. I think I got a decent track record.
I feel like I've been. Advice. I think I've been okay.
I've been okay.
Okay. I want to say decent. I want to say okay.
All right, everybody. Thank you guys for listening. We're going to get to recording next week's episode.
Yeah.
We will see you guys all later. Peace out, everybody. Guys.